Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's kick off this video with a story about a front desk employee at a brand new hotel who dealt with a customer that was more concerned about their name than making a reservation. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like if you enjoy the content, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a juicy story. That's a boy's name. This happened to me just yesterday at the brand new hotel I'm working at. To start, I'll give a bit of context. I'm a female with what I've been told is a boy's name. Let's just say it's Sky. The issue is I've literally never met or even heard of someone that has the same name as me. I'll also mention I'm working at a hotel located in a city dominated by another brand. We also just opened a few months ago, so often when people stay with us, they tend to compare us to the other brand. It was around 2 hours into my shift when the phone rang. Me. Hello, thank you for calling Fancy Brand Hotel. My name is Sky. How may I help you? Karen. Hi. Are you actually at the front desk? Because I want to speak to someone on property. Me, slightly surprised at her bluntness. Yes, ma'am, I'm here in city name. How may I help you? Karen. I wanted to book a reservation for my son and daughter-in-law tonight. Me. Okay, absolutely no problem. Were you looking to book just for the night? Karen. Yes. You see, I just want to hear your prices. I usually stay with competitor brand, but I didn't like the front desk person's attitude, so I'm looking for a new hotel. Maybe you guys might be it. Me. Okay, well, let's see what we've got here. Were you looking for just a king bed for tonight? Karen. Of course, they're married. They're not going to sleep on separate beds. Me. Okay, I was just checking. Looks like that'll be X dollars for a king bed just for the night. That does not include breakfast. Karen. Okay, can I just give you the card number to have him check in? Me. Actually, it's company policy to fill out a credit card authorization form in order for us to use the card for someone other than the listed cardholder. If you give me a good email address, I can send it to you. Karen. No, absolutely not. I'm not going to do that. Me, at a complete loss at this point. Well, it's company policy, and I unfortunately can't run your card for another guest without the form or your signature. Karen. Can I come in and then book a reservation then? Me. Yes, as long as we're able to swipe your card and have you sign for the room, we don't need the form. Karen. Great, then I'll be in. Me. Perfect. If you come in before 3 p.m., I'll be the one you're dealing with. Karen. Great. What's your name? Me. Sky, S-K-Y, and I work at the front desk. Karen. Wait, Sky, not Skylar? Me. That's correct. Karen. How do you spell that? Me. S-K-Y, like Skylar without the L-E-R. Karen. And you're a girl? Me. Now annoyed and confused about why that matters. Yes, ma'am, I am. Karen. But that's a boy's name, and you're spelling it wrong. Me. I'll be sure to let my parents know. Have a nice day. P.S. With summer right around the corner, please remember, when verbally abusing front desk representatives, please limit personal attacks to 2 minutes, as we do have other guests to attend to. This person has control issues. Anyone who'd argue with you about what your name is if they're going to sway you into saying, you're right, ma'am, my name is something else, probably has a few things wrong with them. And our second story. EP wants to trade my business class seat for her economy seat. All of these recent posts about EPs wanting OP's seat reminds me of a bizarre encounter I had a few years ago, flying back from Toronto to Vancouver on a 787, where you have these wonderful lie-flat pods in business class. These cabins are configured 1-to-1, where the two are two pods next to each other, but no big deal if you're traveling alone, as there's a privacy slider you can put up. I was flying alone and wound up in one of those middle seats, no problem. I get to my seat and the woman on the other side is already there. Here's roughly the conversation. EW. Hi there, if it's okay, could you switch seats with my husband so we can sit together? As I said, it really doesn't matter at all where this guy's seat is. It's either the exact same config as what I'm in, or maybe it's one of the individual ones next to a window, which actually would be a nice upgrade. No one next to you and more space. Me, sure, no problem. Where is it? EW, great. It's back there, 18B. I'll tell him to come up here, thank you. Business class has only 8 or 9 rows. Me, wait, 18B. Sorry, I'm not switching out of business class to the back. EW. But you said you would. He's already heading this way. Me. You can't seriously expect me to swap a pod for a middle seat at the back of the bus. Are you kidding me? I'm actually looking around to see if someone's recording this. It seems like a YouTube setup video of some sort. EW. It's not such a big difference. And there's a bulkhead row, so there's plenty of legroom. After more discussion as to how this even happened, as it turns out EW and husband had been seated in 18B and 18C, but for some reason she'd been offered a free upgrade to business class and took it, expecting that the person, me in this case next to her, would just swap. And 18C had now been assigned to someone else, so there was no way they could sit together. Me. Tell you what, if you can find anyone up here to swap with your husband, I'd be happy to take that seat, and you can have this one. Anywhere in this cabin I'm fine with. Then you can sit together. But I'm not moving back there. EW. But we both want to sit together up here. Me. I'm sure you do. But I think you have two choices. Sit apart or sit together back there. I'm sure whoever's in 18C would love to sit up here. Take your old seat back and you can both sit together. They both angrily made their way back to the back, and I was half expecting a new confused stranger to appear. The lucky recipient of an instant upgrade? But no, she came back. According to her, 18A loved the window bulkhead and didn't want to move. 18C had family in 18DEF and didn't want to move either. Someone later told me that perhaps the flight attendants got involved and just told her to go sit in her assigned seat. No seat swapping allowed. Whatever the case, she showed up all angry and made a big show and lots of noise sitting down. I couldn't have cared less. 30 minutes after takeoff, I was reclined and fast asleep for the entire flight. And I'm still bewildered that someone would think this makes any sense at all. That must have been one heck of a window bulkhead if 18A preferred to stay in economy over getting a business class lie flat pod. And our next story. Entitled guest thought money could get him anything. So I live on the big island of Hawaii, and last year I was working at a local resort doing concierge. Most of the job was helping people figure out what they want to do while on vacation, like snorkeling, guided hiking tours, helicopter rides, etc. One afternoon, I was approached by a guy who wanted to take a tour to the Captain Cook Monument, which is known for having great snorkeling, but is only accessible by a steep and fairly grueling hike or by boat/kayak tour through a permitted company, of which there are only a few. He wanted to go that day or the day after, and I explained that unfortunately all the tours were fully booked. Unfazed and without pause, he tells me to find him another boat. I explained that only certain boats are allowed to be in that area, and all of them were full. He insisted that I get on the phone and start calling anyone I could who had a boat that he could pay to take him there, and he kept saying, "Money isn't an issue, just find me a boat." I calmly explained again that this was not possible or legal, and that no local boat captain would risk losing their license to take him there. Exasperated, he finally gave up on the boat and started asking about other tours. At this point, I mentioned that one of my favorite local tours is for stargazing on Mauna Kea. I told him all about the incredible sunset views and absolutely breathtaking stars, and that you can go up in a nice van with about 14 other people. He was interested in going up the mountain, but didn't want to be around other people or be on a tour for 8 or so hours. So he tells me to call the helicopter companies and find him one that'll fly him up there for a private star show. I began explaining that the mountain is restricted airspace due to the observatories at the top, and that even if it wasn't, that not only can the local helicopters not safely make it to 14,000 feet in altitude, but none of those companies do stargazing tours because they aren't trained for it and don't have the equipment. Again, he tells me to just call around and find him a pilot willing to take him up there. And again starts repeating that money isn't an issue. I once again calmly explain, while shrieking like a banshee internally, that no pilot is going to risk the loss of their license, as well as fines and jail time for taking him up there. Finally, he throws up his hands and says, "Fine, I guess I'll just go to the beach then." Like, yeah, dude, I feel so sorry that you left planning your vacation activities until you were on vacation, clearly have issues being told no, and now your only option is to go enjoy a stunning beach in one of the most beautiful places in the world? God, I hate rich people. Since money's no issue for him, he could find himself someone dumb enough to do any of those things and pay whatever legal fees he comes across. And our last story. Neighbor offered my mom $1 for part of her property after expanding his driveway into part of her front yard. My 74-year-old mom's neighbor, mid-60s male, decided he needed a bigger driveway so it could fit 4 cars, including the ones belonging to his 2 children who no longer lived there. My mom somewhat reluctantly agreed under the condition that she pay for everything built over the property line and maintain the right to remove or build on top of the unreasonably large driveway. A few years went by, the neighbor wanted to sell the house and asked my mom to sell him the part of the property he'd built onto, the part which she had also paid for $1. When she said no, all hell broke loose. He started showing up at her house with a video camera, screaming at her for being a cruel woman who didn't want him to see his kids. There's permit street parking, and all residents on the block have 2 parking passes, and you can request up to 6 temporary guest parking passes. Eventually, she decided to have a surveyor come to determine the property line and built a fence to keep him and his family away from her. When workers started pulling up the part of the driveway on her side of the property line, it got even more aggressive and ridiculous. His wife showed up crying over how they can't live without the extra driveway space. They started strategically parking their cars to make it as difficult on the workers as possible. They threatened to report the workers to ICE despite having no knowledge of the immigration status of the workers. In response, they rather hilariously pulled up everything around and under their son's car so only the tires were still on the driveway. Then the son showed up at the door and told my mom, "I just made my first $1 million and I'm going to buy the house and make your life miserable." One day I was in the backyard and the guy was leaning over the fence yelling, "F you!" When I turned around, he said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you were your mother." They eventually sold the house for nearly $500K under asking. The new neighbors are lovely. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.